Today we are reviewing Coralie Fargeat's new movie, The Substance, so stay tuned for our thoughts about this film. Have you ever wanted to be beautiful beyond comparison? So beautiful that you become famous solely because of how good you look? Well, look no further. Horror Movie Talk's newest sponsor is green goo that makes you clone yourself into a younger version of yourself that ultimately you will resent because she is more beautiful than you, and you will try to kill each other in pursuit of individuality and success. Take this green goo today with our promo code MONSTERFUCKER, and you too will be able to go on a journey of self-discovery, passion, and rotting from the inside out. Terms and conditions may apply, not approved by the FDA, and may cause rashes, bleeding, ears falling off, and in some cases, death.
Okay, now we gotta do aerobics. You lead us, Sydney. Is this a metal thing?
Yes. Little taste.
David, what is this?
It's pretty thick.
Great.
I have to kill a lot of people. Just tell me what you want me to fuck.
I have big tits and a tiny vagina.
Oil me up, Daddy.
I can't believe that Brian's first big tits. Mistletoe alert. This is our country.
This guy was a real jerk.
How long can Hugo be pregnant?
Chomp, 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 chomp.
Oh, she's such a dick, David.
Okay, everybody, put on your corpse handling gloves.
Ew.
Hoodie Picasso. Horror.
Woo. That was a good one, guys. Good
Oof.
job.
Really got the blood flowing.
Hello and welcome to Horror Movie Talk. I'm Sydney Lee, the diversity hire, and with me are my lovely co-hosts, the men, Bryce Hansen and Max Allen. We are a silly, goofy, but very serious horror movie review podcast. New theatrical releases always get priority, but we also review older horror movies, both good and horrible. Make sure you rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. Full video available on YouTube. Don't be a square. Make sure to share. Also, check out patreon.com/horrormovietalk, the equivalent of the adult section at your video rental store. And of course, if you want to add your pee to the community pool, go to horrormovietalk.com or call 682-253-4468 and leave us a voicemail. What do they say in this movie? What does Demi Moore say at the end of the workouts?
You got this.
You got this. Which is so, okay. Whatever. We'll talk about it. We've got a great show today. We will be reviewing The Substance. We'll start out by giving a brief review and our score for the movie. We score on a scale of 1 to 10. After we give our score, we'll get into spoilers and take a deeper dive into what we liked and hated about the film. Later, we will be playing What in the French Hell? Ha ha. So the director of this movie is French, and her previous film was in French. So I thought, why don't I give you guys like the little Google description of movies, and you have to try to guess which French horror film it is.
Are the descriptions in French?
No, I don't know French. But it should be fun, I guess. Whatever. All right. The Substance can be found in theaters now. It just came out a couple days ago as we're recording this, so go see it if you don't want to get it spoiled.
Yeah, I want to give a real strong endorsement of seeing this in the theater with people. Like, this is a movie you definitely want to see around other people if you can swing it.
Unfortunately, there were 3 people in my theater on opening night. 3.
There were 5 people in mine, and it still was worth it. It was great.
It was me and 2 middle-aged to older men, and they didn't make a single fucking noise the entire film. And
I was trying to hide their gooning.
That's
they're both gooning.
Honestly, I am like 99% sure that was happening because I was all the way in the back, so I couldn't see anything. But they were near the front. But I also highly recommend just going and seeing this movie, like with other people, definitely, but go see this movie. I didn't know really anything about this film before we saw it. I just was excited for it because I liked Coralie Fargeat's first movie. So I was like, oh, this is going to be fun. So try to go into this as blind as possible. I would recommend. All right.
It's a great trailer. The trailer does not give anything of import away.
I actually didn't even watch the trailer before this. I was totally blind.
Oh, that's
not
awesome.
that you could. I mean, it's hard enough trying to explain this movie to my wife about what was going on. It's like, you can't really explain it in words. So yeah, definitely go see it. I think we're all excited about this movie.
Well, I told you that before I left for the theater, my wife looked up the parental guide and read through it. And then she just looked at me just like so judgmental, like, I can't believe you're going to see this disgusting piece of film.
It's our livelihood. We have to do this. She knows that, right?
I also wanted to say I just changed my background to a younger picture of me because I wanted to point out that if I had a younger clone, he would be the one jealous of me, because if I were to go back in time, I would only get uglier.
Well, yeah, I think that's I think when you go back in time, it would be to like our age, right? Like you would have to be older. So yeah, I don't imagine going back to
Bryce,
being 12.
how hot would you be if you were 25?
Still fat and awkward. Like, would make no difference.
Could you imagine you use the substance and then your clone just comes out like a slightly younger, but almost a carbon copy of you right now?
I gotta say, I'll save it for the spoilers.
Yeah, I need to, let me tell everyone.
Sorry, I'm just so excited to talk about this movie.
I am too. I took a lot of notes. Okay. The Substance follows Elisabeth Sparkle, a big-time celebrity host of an 80s style workout TV show, Jane Fonda-esque, who turns What the fuck?
I'm sorry.
Excuse you, dude.
Should I? I'm just going to keep going.
Such a boomer.
Okay. Elisabeth Sparkle turns 50 years old and gets sacked in pursuit of someone younger and quote-unquote hotter to host the show. After getting in a car crash, she meets a mysterious stranger who tells her about the substance, which can create a younger, more beautiful, better version of herself. Lizzie decides to go through with this, and the results change the rest of her life forever. My review is that this movie is a doozy. It's fun and stylistic and seemingly poses an important question about misogyny in Hollywood, women not being able to age, the emphasis on beauty no matter how painful, etc. But the commentary falls flat. In Coralie Fargeat's first film, Revenge, I noticed a very similar occurrence. There is potential in the substance for important discussions, but it turns into an extremist, monster-esque, chaotic clusterfuck instead of really giving us some answers or at least worthwhile commentary. This film is more concerned about style than substance, which is ironic because of the name. And I think that works in its favor in certain areas and works against it in others. Overall, it's interesting. Definitely a new trope, and the setup is promising. There are some incredible shots and set dressings, and the color scheme is captivating.
Incredible shots.
Demi Moore gives an all-time performance. She absolutely kills this. There are some really great scenes, but ultimately the execution of the film and its message or lack thereof is not where I'd want it or expect it to be. But I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. I liked it, but I also was like, what the fuck is going on? What about you guys?
Yeah, I can see the criticism of like it not really, going deep into the paint with like the social message or like a moral to the story necessarily. But like, I think it's for me, it's more of like, that's what I would expect it to do. And it didn't do that. It was much more of a, a focus on the concept itself. And I think it's still a pretty strong case against the male gaze and the detrimental effects of women trying to live up to it and beat aging. I think, when like if that's like the main thing you want to come away with, like, yeah, it could have done a better job with that message. But I think overall, like the main message is more about aging than anything.
Yeah.
And you two are two whippersnappers and you don't understand the impact of this message of, listen, your selfishness and your impulsivity as a young person will affect you later on in very detrimental ways. And like,
Yeah, I
no
really
matter
did.
how
I
much-
didn't pick up on that at all.
Oh yeah, it's that's how I saw it, as like, yeah, it's about the choices you make as a young person have huge impacts later in life, and you know your lack of self-esteem and self-control overall is detrimental lifelong, you know, and it's the source of that impulsivity and the stuff that can harm you. That's what I came away with. But I think you're really underselling how unique and visceral this movie is. I think that's like, yeah, I think the message you can have some criticisms of, but I think as a package, the movie excels. Like, it's not like anything I've seen in the theater for a very, very long time, and it's going to stick with me. And it's an experience. And like, there's almost no dialogue. It's almost like a silent movie for the majority of it. And it's uncomfortable. It's a unique experience. I really loved it. I think I wouldn't shy away from giving this a 10 out of 10 for me.
Wow.
And it's not just because of the butts. The butts have a lot to do with it, but it's not just because of it.
I did walk out of the theater and I looked like I had just seen someone die. Like I was like this for like until I got to my car. Like and like people were looking at me in the theater and I couldn't get that look off my face. I was like, what the fuck did I just watch?
See, I see that as a sign of a really great movie. Like, it made you feel something. It made you experience something.
Definitely, but like I hope we review her other movie, Revenge, because that's also a horror movie, and I really liked it, but I only ultimately gave it a 7 because of like similar things that this movie also did. I don't want to ruin Revenge because I think it's good. Like, I like that movie, but like it's just interesting when like you think, I mean, I don't think all female directors have to make some fucking big statement about XYZ, like no way, but like it seems like in these 2 movies that I've seen by her, the only 2 movies that she's ever made, like it seems like she's setting up to make commentary about something, and then I'm like, what? Like, where is it going? Like, if you just want to make a crazy batshit movie, by all means, do it. And I just feel like there was something set up here that just didn't come to fruition, and that was my complaint about Revenge too. So I don't know. It's just what I feel about it.
Here's the thing. I wasn't even paying attention to the message or themes because this was me during this movie. Monkey brain, neuron activated right there.
Yeah, she's hot as fuck.
Holy crap. The entire time I was like, this is just male gaze the movie. I'm just like sitting here just like glued to the screen like, whoa. And the body horror elements of it were insane. Like so horrifying. The like rapid aging stuff was like just like, I mean, one of the scariest things you could imagine. Like, imagine just losing your youth overnight. Like, that's so scary. So I loved this movie. I think the only things I didn't like about it were it just felt really long by the end. Like, it felt like they were really dragging out that ending. And then there was also like a tone shift, like right at the end, where it went from like this horrifying, like disaster piece to, isn't this kind of goofy? Look at the thing. Look at this. This is kind of goofy.
Yeah, I thought it was like a comedy at the end, like the last like 30
turned
minutes.
Into a comedy,
yeah,
right at the end. So, but I still loved it. My neurons were firing the entire time. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10.
Oh wow, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really excited. I remember last week after we were done recording, we were like, oh, there's a new movie, and I was like, ugh. And then Bryce was like, oh, it's The Substance, and I was like, oh my god, like I'm so excited. And yeah, I don't know, it's just like something didn't click for me or something. It's not like I didn't like it. I gave it a 6. Like I did like it, but I don't know. I guess I just didn't. But
I'm surprised. 6 is a pretty mid score. I thought you'd be on the upper end on this one.
It reminded me, like, once we got to the last, like, 45 to 30 minutes, it reminded me of Men, and I did not like Men. Like, Men was just, yeah, I mean, you guys
reminded me of Possessor. It had, like, the same vibe as Possessor.
I can see that, too. Yeah, I did really like Possessor. Possessor was good.
The tweet you sent before I saw the movie, I read it after, and I was like, holy cow, that's spot on. Someone, I don't know where you got it from, but there was a comment where it was like, it's like if you crossed Showgirls, The Nutty Professor, and The Thing. And I'm like,
yeah,
holy shit, that's exactly right. That's exactly what the elements of this movie are.
When I read that, I was like, that is like a crazy, like, I was like, when is the Thing aspect going to come in? And then I was like, okay, I get it now. And Showgirls definitely, but like, we'll get into it in spoilers. We should get into spoilers because I want to start talking.
Yeah, I think the main thing that you have to highlight is like, it's an over the top movie. It's an over the top experience, and if you're into that, if you're into schlock, this is great.
And if you're into women where you could almost see their vaginas with the outfits that they're wearing. My God. It was,
you know, as far as we've come as a podcast, I think it is telling that the two men have super high scores and the woman is like, yeah, it's okay. I think it's just a effect of testosterone. Like, we can't help ourselves. We have to love this movie.
I was like, there was like a one scene in this movie where I was like, if I was watching this at home right now, other things would be happening. It's like there are some. It's definitely wet. Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
But see, and this movie, like, one of the great things about it is it'll give you a boner and then it'll smack it on the head with a cold spoon as soon as like something gross happens. It's like, oh,
yeah. That's very true.
It's like your wife saying, like, I'm gonna give you the best blowjob. I'm gonna use all of my teeth. You're like, ugh.
What?
Hey, some men like that. I don't know.
No men like that. I'm sorry.
Pain? They like pain?
Okay, if you're listening to these commercials, you should know that you do not have to go to our Patreon, patreon.com/horrormovietalk. We have more ads in the episodes now. There are so many fucking ads on YouTube because we finally got monetized. Yay! Woohoo! But also, there are a lot more ads because of the service that we use to post on Spotify, Apple Music, all that shit. Apple Podcasts. It requires more ads in the mid-roll. So if you don't...
they're requiring us to add more mid-roll breaks, which is kind of insane, but, you know, got to do what we got to do. So if you're annoyed with, like, how many new ads there are in the podcast...
Go to our Patreon.
Yeah, go to our Patreon.
And then you can watch video episodes, too, with no ads. Because like no YouTube ads, like it will be great, and you won't even get this. So you should really go check that out. There is not a better time to join our Patreon than right now. And of course we have our HMT shop. Please buy our merch. Don't you guys want to represent us? Like, there's a woman who listens to this podcast that has a tattoo of Horror Movie Talk. The least you guys can do is just buy a sweatshirt. That's not permanent, like, you know. But if you wanted to get a tattoo, you could. And I'm trying to convince these two to get HMT tattoos with me, but they won't.
I told you, if we get famous, I'll get an HMT tattoo.
Yeah. My body's a temple, obviously.
Well, mine isn't. And of course, number one, happy birthday, Dustin. Happy birthday. And don't forget to check out our resident artist, Dustin Goebel. He's
the
a
birthday
professional
boy.
The birthday boy. He's a professional artist.
Birthday boy.
Is his birthday today?
Yeah.
Oh, it's my son's birthday too.
Oh, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Bryce's son.
And
Easton.
Colin is turning 7 today.
Colin. Happy birthday, Colin. Dustin Goebel is a professional birthday boy artist who fucks hard. He also takes commissions for artwork from HMT fans. Contact him at DGOEBEL00 on Instagram and make your artistic dreams come true. Tell him that we sent you.
And tell him happy birthday.
And of course, happy birthday, happy birthday. We love him very much. Also, our phone number, again, 682-253-4468. We didn't even get through all the voicemails last week, but keep sending them. We love it.
Yeah. We got through all the ones that we're going to get through.
Yeah. And until next time. Thanks again for listening. Let's get into spoilers. And let's get Suki off of my headphones. Okay. I took so many notes because I brought my notebook this time, which I didn't forget my notebook. And I was just like, every single thing that happened, I was writing it down. Do we want to
read some of these parental guidance things off of IMDb just for fun?
So I can hear exactly what my wife was reading.
Full female nudity throughout, including naked females fondling their nude breasts, buttocks, and bodies with graphic camera close-ups, and full naked females laying exposed for lengthy segments. Brief male rear nudity is shown once in comedic context. I'll stop. It doesn't. There's 20 uses of fuck.
Huh?
So that's probably
it?
what offended Max's wife.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that was the one.
maybe the women fondling, and it's not even like fondling. It's like they're looking at themselves.
Yeah.
And like, that's, you know, I mean, you get out of the shower, you look in the mirror, you look at your naked body every day and you go, okay, where can I improve?
Where are we
I
at?
don't. I avert my eyes. I like to maintain my modesty.
I think it's important to look at yourself. Also, it's really important as a young person to take naked pictures of yourself, no matter what gender you are, because not even to send them to anyone, but when you're older, you can look at those naked pictures of yourself and you can be like, oh, I was so hot and I cataloged it. And then you have them forever. I think it's important.
And then you just masturbate to yourself.
No, I wouldn't say that.
I think I'm gonna take the opposite approach and say, if you are young, do not take pictures of yourself nude. That sounds like a disaster waiting to happen.
Why?
Well, you can get hacked. You can get your nudes posted on the internet for everyone to see.
I did get blackmailed once.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, when I was 18, I was in college, and someone on Instagram who had, like, you know, no followers, just a weird name, was like, I'm going to send your nudes to your family. And I was like, what? I was like, what are you talking about? And I was a little crazy as a kid. And so when I was like 14, 15, I had like taken like bra pictures and sent them to someone. And so this was like, and then I was 18 when this was happening, and he, I'm assuming it's a he, sent those pictures to me, and I was like, actually, I was a minor in those, so if you really want to do anything, I can call the police, because you can get in trouble for that. I won't. You will. And then he stopped bothering me. But
Sydney,
it was really
every
weird.
time you tell a story, it's just you being a victim in like a terrible situation.
I don't even, it's just like, I don't know why whoever got the, like, I remember who I sent them to. I don't think that person would have blackmailed me, but like, why do you have pictures of me when I was 14? You sat on these for 4 years and then waited to send them to me. It was so gross. Yeah. But I mean, I guess that's a warning story. Don't send nudes when you're underage. It's stupid. It's dumb. But they weren't even really nudes because I was 14. I didn't know what I was doing. Yes, I'm a victim all the time. But okay.
So I was taking mental notes during this movie, and the first thing that popped up was egg, and I was like, okay, egg. And then they put the substance in it, and then I was like, okay, 2 eggs. And that's as far as my note taking went. I stopped taking notes after that.
I thought it was really important at the beginning, like the egg yolks, and I guess it was. I mean, it was showing us what was gonna happen.
I gotta say, this one, about 15 minutes into it, I was like, is this gonna let up? And it just doesn't let up. Like, this is another movie where my analysis is this feels like a music video. Like, this definitely could have been done as a short. Like, I thought a lot about Lamb, where I'm like, there's nothing really happening in this movie. Like, you could tell the same story in probably about 5 minutes.
Okay, screw you. The atmosphere of Lamb was great.
I don't like
it. It was
Lamb.
beautiful. That little baby, that's my Discord pictures, the little baby lamb.
Yeah, but I mean, it feels like the concept and the tone of this movie felt like a early 2000s music video, and it really doesn't let up. But unlike Lamb, this one works. I think it's stylistically and tonally, it's a lot more in your face, and surprisingly, it doesn't get that boring throughout. Like, I know it's 2 hours and 20 minutes long, and it really didn't feel like it for me. I was pretty much on board for the whole thing. I don't know how much that has to do with showing, asses, every 5 minutes that take up the entire frame. But I enjoyed it. That's all I know.
I agree with you. I really didn't feel like it was 2 hours. I didn't even know it was 2 hours and 20 minutes until I got out of the movie and checked my phone. I was like, because the movie started at 7:20 or 7:30 basically, and it was like 9:50 when I got out, and I was like, what? It keeps you entertained. Like, I didn't think it was too long. I do love a female director that takes the male gaze and is like, you want to see tits, you want to see ass, I'll give you tits and ass. And I was just like, yeah, that fucking rocks. And I think Margaret Qualley, I've never thought she was ugly, but I've never been like, wow, she's like a sex symbol, right? Like, she's really pretty, but I was like, what? When I now think that I watched this, I was like, oh my God, she is so bad. Like, she's so bad. And so is Demi Moore. She still looks fucking amazing.
Yeah, I gotta say, in terms of because this movie sells this as if you want the better, more perfect version of yourself, take the substance. And I'm like, you put pictures of 20-year-old Demi Moore up next to 20-year-old Margaret Qualley. I'm like, yeah, I don't think it was that good of a deal, Demi. I think
she's so hot.
I think you're doing a little better on your own genetics.
And it's right. It was
my
really.
thoughts was during the opening scene with her doing her dance routine, I was like, that's a pretty attractive older woman. Right
yeah, that's the other thing is that Demi Moore, it kind of undercuts the message where it's like, Demi Moore still got it. I mean, she's the only thing is yeah, her body is aged. There's a little bit of minor sagging, but it's Jesus, she's still a hottie.
Yeah, even the scene where before she takes the substance and she's completely naked and she's looking at herself in the mirror and it really shows you every part of her body. I was like, yeah, I'd hit it. Hit it in 1 second. Are you kidding me?
And also I don't know what plastic surgery or stuff that she's done for her face to look that good in her 60s.
She looks amazing.
Yeah, she's beautiful.
She's in her 60s?
Yeah, I think she's 60.
Oh my gosh.
That's fucked.
She looks 40.
I need a
She looks 40.
I need a mommy.
That's crazy.
I don't know what the fuck. any mommies willing. I'm here. Okay. But yeah, so basically the general premise is that like Elisabeth Sparkle has been famous for a very long time. She's got famous off of this like 80s style workout show, which is absolutely insane because the only people that I could think of that are famous for working out with Jane Fonda was famous already. And then like Carmen Electra, like those are the only two people that I can think of that have had workout shows that have been like wildly successful. So I think it's a really interesting premise for this movie because it's just like, why would this be like especially when Margaret Qualley gets the role and Sue, and she like becomes this like mega star. She becomes like fucking Kylie Jenner basically, and you're just like, what? Like, it's like, I don't know. I guess it's like, it kind of reminded me of like TikTok stars who get famous for like doing their stupid dances and then like, you know, like Addison Rae is on like a Charlie XCX song now. Like, you know, it's like,
yeah.
It's
Well,
weird.
I also felt like that part was a little unrealistic because it's like, your dance moves are so great. Host the biggest show on the world. Please host it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think that, you know, she was obviously getting really popular, but was she like an A-list celebrity from her dance show?
And she didn't really
there's a little bit of, you know, cognitive or what do you call suspension of disbelief that, I mean, when you're talking about, you know, youth and attractiveness in young women in Hollywood, yes, they're a dime a dozen down in LA. Like every hot girl who thinks she can make it is down in LA and competing against each other. But I mean, playing devil's advocate, Elisabeth has decades of experience doing this show. So, you know, it seems like she would be able to bring expertise to her audition as well and like have the charisma on display. Not that like they make a point of showing that in the movie, but like if we're to believe, yeah, I don't know, that is confusing. Does she have the same brain when she's the other one? Because it doesn't seem like they remember what the other one did.
I wrote that down. I said, why don't they know what each other does? Because the substance, okay, so the main thing is that there's the substance that you inject into yourself and it makes another version of you. But the two of you are one thing. And that's what the substance people keep saying. The two of you are the same. And you have to like stabilize each day with your younger self with like spinal fluid from your regular self. But like every time they switch and like the apartment looks like XYZ, they're like, oh my God. And it's like, what? I thought we were the same. So I guess they're lying.
My thought was more like they are the same, but they're just different versions of it's like your brain at 50 and your brain at 21, and like it's still her brain, but it's like her brain is aging too when she's swapping back and forth, and so it's almost like two different versions of you, but you're still you. I guess it's just like maybe because you swap to the other brain, you don't have the memories of that brain.
Because it's been like 25 years since you did that. Is that what you mean?
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know. Something
Maybe.
like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I mean, they explain how the substance works and like what the implications are of it. But I guess like what we're talking about now, it doesn't really matter, but I don't know. There's a lot of, I wouldn't say it's a plot hole that they don't explain this, but it's just like weird. It's like, oh, okay, I thought they were the same. I also thought Dennis Quaid was awesome in this. I really liked him. And also in Revenge, in Coralie Fargeat's first movie, she uses like there are men in the movie that are supposed to be disgusting pigs, and she uses them eating disgustingly to like personify that, and I like how she also put that in this movie, because like it just establishes him as an asshole like right off the bat, because he's eating shrimp like so disgustingly, but he's not like a major character. He's just kind of like there, which
I've gone on the record and said like I'm a big Dennis Quaid fan, like ever since Inner Space, which you guys have probably never seen.
Nope.
Like I feel like Dennis Quaid could have been on track to replace Harrison Ford as like the new Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
He's so fun in this movie. Like the first shot of him like at the urinal where it's like the fisheye lens and it's like the most disgusting close up of his like face. I was so delighted. I'm like, I'm on board. I love this movie already, because he's like just spouting the most vile, like
misogynistic
shit.
Yeah.
And you're just like, you're like looking through his eye into his soul while he's taking a piss, and it's great. And then the scene with him eating the shrimp is probably, on par with any of the other disgusting scenes in this movie, which is pretty impressive.
It is.
I think that they nailed that character, because I can totally see how a guy like that would shoot straight to the top of like a TV executive position. Like, I'm like, yeah, this guy's pushy, he's eccentric, and he is disgusting. And women are probably afraid of him, and men, are probably afraid of him too. And so, like, yeah, I could totally see how he climbs the ladder like that.
Yeah. I also want to point out that in the TV studio, the hallway and the bathroom are like basically shot for shot The Shining.
Yeah, it's a very big The Shining homage.
I really like that. Bathroom. I really like that. It's interesting though, because I don't really see the immediate similarities. I guess like, oh, a woman is going insane, but she's not going insane in the TV studio. Like it's I don't know. It's interesting. I do like the homage, but it's not really like consequential to the plot, I guess. But yeah, so Demi Moore gets fired and she's really sad because she's like, oh, I'm old in Hollywood now and no one likes me. So I'm going to do the substance.
When you're 50, it stops.
When you're 50, everything stops. Right. So she does the substance, and the younger version of herself is Margaret Qualley. And the birth scene,
it was crazy.
She comes, her back opens, and Margaret Qualley comes out of her back, and then it's just like an open wound in her back. And when she stitches the back up, that was like, I was like, okay, this is going to be a really nasty movie, because it was like pinching the skin, needle going in, coming out.
Even before any of that happens, like the part where the pupil and the iris separate in her eye, and then it creates another eyeball, and then the other eyeball's crowding out her eyeball. It's just like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
It is awesome.
It's like there's so many moving parts, and it doesn't make sense necessarily, if you think about it for too long. But yeah, that whole scene, I think that and the ending of this movie are as disgusting and impactful as The Fly, Cronenberg's The Fly. It's like very similar. Very similar.
I've never fully seen Cronenberg's The Fly. I've seen
The Fly is great.
Have you seen the end of The Fly?
So this is what happened is I was with someone and we put it on, and then we didn't pay attention, and then we watched the end, and that's all that really happened.
Okay. So you're Netflixing and chilling, and then the afterglow you get to watch.
It was one of my exes. We were just like, oh, we're just gonna put something on. But
the Brundlefly pod.
See, you missed the best part of Jeff Goldblum just being sexy and strong.
I'm gonna rewatch it at some point. I love Cronenberg, so I have to.
This Halloween, you just definitely need to Yeah, you need to watch the whole entire flight.
I know. I'm a loser. I don't know. I'm sorry.
It's a very, very important film. What are you, Max?
I've seen lots of movies. I just haven't seen that dumb bowling one.
The Big Lebowski. The day that
See what happens when you find a stranger in the Alps?
if the day that you watch The Big Lebowski, we need to throw a party.
Yeah.
It's gonna be crazy. Yeah. So we kind of like. So I was definitely grossed out by a lot of things that happened, but also very intrigued by a lot of the body horror. I thought it was really inventive and cool. But there are like. Where did I put it? Like, there was like a scene where I was like super anxious. Like, okay, the makeup scene when she is like gonna go on a date to like, you know, reclaim her youth or whatever, and she wants to go on a date with that guy, and she's like does her makeup, thinks she looks like shit, and then keeps like changing her outfit and changing her makeup and like rubbing her face really hard. Like that made me so anxious, and I was like, damn, that was good. Like that was good because I have I mean, like I know I'm not old, but I know what that feeling is like you're getting ready to go do something, you want to look good and you don't look good, and you just start like fucking like peeling your face off. Like, oh my God, it happens to me all the time. Like I thought it was very relatable, and it's very anxiety inducing because you're like, oh, I have to get somewhere, but I also like
Can I tell
me
you
too.
what?
Right, Max?
Sure.
Never experienced that. Yeah, I mean that's like a really important scene in the movie. That's probably honestly the most important scene in the movie is her.
It's really good.
Like struggling, you know, it's the that quote, the comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
Where she's trying to come to terms with like, listen, I need to live my life. Like I need to realize that I do have value and that there's people that see the beauty in me, you know, even though I can't see it right now because I'm comparing myself to, you know, Sue that's constantly staring in my window with her hot ass. And then she makes an effort, and then she just can't stop herself from comparing herself and going into misery. And then, you know, I think my the thing that I can sympathize with is the, you know, the self-destructive depression aspects of like, fuck it, I'm going to eat an entire rotisserie chicken. Yeah. Not that there's anything wrong with that, you know, but there's that aspect, and like it's super self-destructive and self, you know, canceling in that scene, and that's really the turning point.
I think this part of the movie kind of called me out a little bit because in the beginning, she meets this guy who she apparently went to high school with, and he's just like fawning over her, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, you're still so hot. How are you so beautiful after all these years?" And in that scene, like he comes off very like a loser, like, and I was just like, man, what is this dweeb doing? Get out of her face. She's leaving the hospital. And then later, like, she's so distressed and thinks she looks ugly, and she remembers in her head him saying like, "You're still the most beautiful girl in the world," and like she smiles, and I'm like, wait a second, was he just really nice, and because he was like kind of ugly, I decided that he was a loser? Like, what is that about it, where it's like if you're not attractive and you try to like say something nice, you come off as creepy?
I don't think he was ugly.
SNL had a whole sketch about this of like, you know, the office sexual harassment. Did you guys ever see that video?
I've seen the meme.
Yeah. Step 1, be attractive. Step 2, don't be unattractive. Like it has this exact same scene played between a attractive man just complimenting a woman and an ugly man complimenting a woman, saying the exact same things, and it's just like the woman with the ugly man is like, ugh, no. Picks up the phone and calls HR, and with the attractive man, she's like, oh, thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if it's about him being ugly, because I don't I didn't see it being played that way. I think it's because she's like so famous and like she probably gets approached all the time, and she was obviously having a really bad day because she had just gotten fired, so she would just kind of brushed it off, and he was like kind of awkward and he was fumbling. He like dropped the piece of paper with his number on the ground and like coffee and still handed it to her. It was just like a strange interaction. I think it was more of the awkwardness and like how she doesn't give a fuck about that shit. Like right now, like she had, and then she remembers it and then she feels bad. Like she's like, oh my God, like if I had never taken the substance, like I would have never realized that like, you know, I might still be worth something. Like, yeah. And then it completely devolves because she like doesn't think she's worth something. But so like the substance, the thing is you have to switch bodies every 7 days with no exception. And we don't learn the implication of that for a while. They are switching pretty regularly and they're doing it on time, and Sue gets the job and like it's all hunky-dory basically. But Demi Moore, like she hides out like every time. Like she just kind of goes to the deposit box to get like more food and shit. And it's just whatever. So then there's one point where Sue wants a couple extra hours because she wants to fuck this motorcyclist. And we don't know if she does it or not. And there's a scene where he unzips her like jumpsuit and all of her organs fall out. And we're like, what the fuck? That ended up being like a dream hallucination kind of thing. But then we realized the next day that, yeah, she did take a couple hours extra from the 7 days. She took extra spinal fluid, and Demi Moore's finger is like 90 years old and the rest of her is still 50. And so now we learn the implication is like, oh, it will rapidly age you if the spinal fluid doesn't get to regenerate over the 7 days. So then, you know, it kind of goes from there. Demi Moore is freaking out. She goes to like a cafe and she meets like the older version of the guy that gave her the substance basically. And he's like, they take everything from you. Has it started happening? And she gets really freaked out by it. And Sue really does take from her. Like Sue, like they get in this like cat fight where it's like, Demi Moore will like fuck up the apartment and smash everything and be crazy. And then Margaret Qualley will have to like fix it the next time. And Margaret Qualley starts getting more and more famous. So then there's towards the end, there's a 3-month period where Demi Moore is rotting away. And like Margaret Qualley's just able to do whatever she wants. Yeah,
she like goes from being, you know, just having... What was it? It had like the half of her body was aged, and then she went into full like, you know, crone of the ancients, you know?
Yeah.
She was a hag, I would say. An old hag. Mm-hmm. Can I quickly just point out one thing in this movie that really gave me anxiety?
Yes.
Sure.
She spends all this time building a room to keep the body in, but she still just lays it on the cold hard tile.
Yeah.
Like, can you get like a mattress or like a chair? Like, that's gonna be you when you wake up, and it's gonna hurt really bad that you were laying on the floor for a week.
It only took her 5 days to build that room too. Like they give you that time frame because they showed like the food. It took her 5 days for her to DIY a whole fucking safe room by herself, which is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. She didn't wire it for electricity or plumbing. It shouldn't be that hard to just.
She didn't even put carpet, just cold concrete to lay that body on.
Yeah, it was crazy. But yeah, there's like after Bryce, who said she ate a whole rotisserie chicken. So then, like the next time they switch, Margaret Qualley is doing her little dance. She's doing her dance, and she like bends over, and like something pops out of her ass, and they're like, hold on, let's just go frame by frame. And they're like clicking frame by frame, and it's just like ass. And then it's so disgusting. She reaches in her fucking belly button and pulls out a fucking chicken leg. Please, I am so scared. Like, that's one of my like OCD things is like my belly button. I always feel like my organs are gonna fall out of it. So when I saw that, I was like, I'm gonna die right now. Like, I'm gonna die.
Wow, this is bizarre.
Sydney, you think your organs are gonna fall out of your belly button?
Yeah, one
You
time
know that thing is closed, right?
one time my ex's cat stepped on my belly button so hard that I was like, my intestines are gonna come out, and he was like, "You are fucking insane." Yeah.
Well, just so everyone knows, when we do HMT Bachelorette, this is what you're getting yourself into. She thinks intestines are gonna fall out of her belly button.
No, she's a perfect
crazy.
contestant for Bachelorette. She's just some dumb broad that
Bryce.
thinks that her intestines are going to fall out of her belly
I
button.
will
Sydney
leave.
is
I will
not
leave
dumb.
this recording so it's not. So it doesn't even upload, and then we won't have a podcast anymore.
Sydney is not dumb, but it is dumb to think that your intestines are gonna fall out of your belly button. That thing is closed up.
I know it's irrational. I'm aware of that. Like, I know that. Jesus, Bryce, don't call me a
Yeah,
dumb
but what
broad.
if, you know?
Fucking Jesus.
Actually, but like maybe it could fall out. Have you thought about that, Sydney?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have.
I mean, technically it's scar tissue, and scar tissue is more brittle. I mean, if a cat did step in the right place, your intestines probably could fall out.
Ooh, be careful not to touch your belly button too much, or it might break through, and then the intestines will have a slippery exit out. Like it'll be like a funnel. Like they will shoot out.
Yeah. Don't touch it, but also you need to keep it clean.
Yeah.
So like get the cotton swabs in there, but don't be too rough. Like, or else.
And I would probably do it every other night, but maybe every night. I don't know. That's up to you if you think that it's going to break through if you do it every night.
Sydney, what's your moisturizing regimen with your belly button? This is important.
I don't put lotion inside of my
How
belly
many
button.
feet of intestines are you willing to lose?
Oh my god.
Yeah, this part of the movie is confusing because it's like how much of this is her hallucinating because her organs don't fall out of her back, and they never say anything about like what they see on the playback. It's never like, oh hey, we got to reshoot that because you had this weird giant lump that protruded.
You
from
had
your
a
ass.
chicken bone in your butt.
Yeah, and like she pulls out the chicken leg, which I mean, if you think about it, that means that Demi Moore just like bodied an entire chicken leg without even
Swallowed
taking
it.
a bite off of it. Just like
Throat goat. Oh my god.
she like she deep
Just with
throated
that
an
chicken leg
entire
just-
chicken leg.
That's actually nasty.
Yeah. So, yeah, I was confused about whether that was true or not. So this is like the weird, you know, kind of uncertain level that this movie operates on.
It's really interesting to like, I watched Revenge a few months ago, and like a lot of the tropes that she uses in Revenge are also used in this. Like there are a lot of things that happen in Revenge that you're like, was that a dream or was it real? And that happens in this movie. A lot of tropes, very similar. It's very interesting. We definitely need to review that. So what happens now? Yeah. So, you know, she does the 3-month thing because she gets booked for this New Year's Eve show, and she's just like, fuck it, I don't care. And then the spinal fluid goes bad after 3 months, and she has like one day where she needs to do the show the next day. So she wakes Lizzie back up, and then
Can I just say something real quick?
yeah.
There's one part that really pulled me out of this movie, which was she gets hired to do the New Year's Eve show, and then we see outside on the billboard tomorrow night, you know, New Year's show. I'm like, they put a billboard up for one day? Like,
Yeah.
whoever is in charge of advertising doesn't know what the fuck they're doing here. Like, that's not good exposure.
Suspension of
Just saying.
disbelief. Come on.
Yeah.
You know what part I really liked about this is she apparently in this time has got like some sort of boyfriend or like boy toy she keeps around, and he's just like laying in bed waiting for her to come into bed, and she's like in the bathroom gagging and knocking stuff over, and he's like, babe, what's going on?
She's like,
Yeah, but it's like the old hag that's doing it. It's like like an ancient, like from the guts, like hacking.
and
He's
she's
like,
like,
babe, is that
get
your time of the month, or-
out. And he's like, what the fuck? Who is that? And
He sees blood on the ground. He's like, is it your time of the month, or what's going on? Or
I gotta piss. Can you let me in? That was funny. That's where we see the man ass that plays for comedic effect, as IMDb says.
the funny thing about them saying it plays for comedic effect is you can just show a man's butt and it's funny. Like it's always funny.
He had a really nice ass. Like it was firm and plump, man. I was like, damn, there's a lot of ass in this movie, and it's all good.
and furry.
Yeah, so Lizzie, when she wakes back up and she's like a hunchback and she's like 1,000 years old, she calls the substance and she's like, we're done, I'm terminating. So then the termination fluid gets
Bad time to stop.
I know, very bad time. Like what's the rest of your life gonna look like, girl? Like, please. So she tries to terminate Sue, and then she realizes she can't do it. So she tries to wake her back up, and then they're alive at the same time. And you're like, okay, that makes no sense, but that's fine. And then it ensues the craziest fight scene ever. It is so long. And the way that Sue kicks Demi Moore across the room was like an anime. Like,
I was like, wait, does she have super strength now? What's happening? She's like a superhero.
She was bodying her, and it took a lot for Demi Moore to die. Like, cause like I think an old lady in that condition would die probably from like one blow to the head. No, multiple slamming on the sink, kicks her across the room, smashes her through a fucking table, beats the shit out of her.
Even when like your grandma like trips and like falls to the ground and breaks her hip, like that could be game over. Like
Yeah.
that could be the end of her life. So it's crazy that she is just getting thrown around like a goon in some Batman movie. Like Batman just pummeling this old hag. It's great.
It is great. And, you know, Sue does kill Demi Moore. And you're like, I don't know. This is what I thought in that moment. I'm like, but what's going to happen to Sue? How is Sue going to be alive? Like, how is Sue? And they fucking explore that. So Sue gets her ass down to the New Year's show. She starts getting ready. She's all prim and princess. She looks like Cinderella. And then she, you know, she starts like coughing and feeling weird. She goes in the bathroom and her teeth just start falling out. She's pulling her teeth out and she's just like, fuck, fuck, fuck. So no one really knows.
This is like the most dreamlike sequence.
Yeah.
Like, have you guys ever had teeth dreams?
No.
Oh, all the time.
Oh my God.
Never have.
Max, you and me.
I have stress
teeth dream
dreams.
bros. Like, I have so many dreams where my teeth turn into just like chiclets that you can squeeze and break. And you can pull out teeth. Like, I've had so many dreams that are basically like this scene where you're like, oh no, it's happening.
My dream is like the teeth are falling out and I'm like trying to grab them so I can like take them to the dentist and they're slipping through my fingers and falling down the drain and then my hair is just slowly like falling out. Those are my stress dreams. Either that or I'm looking for something and I can't find it.
Yeah, my stress dreams are I break my teeth or my teeth all of a sudden become very fragile or like they start falling out and I can pull them out and like squeeze them and break them instantly. So yeah, this scene was like, oh no, it's happening. And this is a pretty novel solution because she realized like, oh, I just need the better version of myself. And then she's like, oh, I can just start over again. And she goes and injects herself with the substance.
Listen, if this had worked, this would have been a genius plan.
It would have been, but it was single use only, so she should have called them. But her ear falls off before this, too. Her ear falls off. No one notices, whatever. She goes back, she does the substance, and it is a It is a monster. It is a monster that has limbs coming where limbs don't go. It has multiple faces. Demi Moore's face is on it. It has tits everywhere. It is like grotesque and insane and disgusting. And you know what Margaret Qualley does? She puts earrings on that bitch. She puts lipstick on a pig, and she goes back. She goes back to do the show. She's like, this is fine. She goes back to do the show with Demi Moore's face on her face, like a picture cutout. And she goes to the door, and the guy that opens the door is like, "Oh, you're here. Come in." What? Holy fuck! What do you mean?
There's it's a very dreamlike sequence, and
there was also a scene before this, before her, like when her teeth start falling out, she runs into Dennis Quaid and a bunch of like the wigs, basically, like all the people that own the place, and they're like, oh, so excited, smile, and she's like smiling without her teeth, and they're like, and then they all dance away. All the men, like they do hops and they dance away, and this is exactly like a dream. Like, you're right. Like, they're just kind of like do, and then like the whole thing happens, and she comes back to do the show, and Frankenstein happens. Like, that's basically what happens.
The monster.
Yeah.
I know suicide is never the answer, but in this situation, suicide is the answer. If I woke up and I had deformed myself that way.
Oh no, that's very ableist of you.
No, listen, if you are that way because you are that way, that's the cards you were dealt. If you made yourself that way through your bad choices, suicide is the answer.
Yeah.
She couldn't talk. Her tongue was not fitting in her mouth.
Yeah, it was like my notes: tooth fall out, ear fall off. What the fuck? The quest for outer beauty has gone too far. And then when she walks onto the stage, it's 2001 Space Odyssey music, which is great. Like the monolith music, which is great. And then everyone's like, the monster, no! And it's like chaos ensues, exactly like the end of Frankenstein. And then some guy like lops her head off, and then she like reforms into a more disgusting version. And then like her arm falls off, and it's like a blood party. Like, she's spraying it like a hose, and everyone's getting drenched in blood because, we have so much blood to do that, and that would happen. And then she like eventually gets outside and falls on the ground, explodes. She explodes, and then Lizzie's face is the only thing that survives, and the face crawls to her star on the Walk of Fame, and she smiles and then dissolves into the star. And then title card. End of movie.
I gotta say, one of the best parts of this movie is there's only 5 people in the theater, but just a couple seats away was a woman probably in her 30s and 2 guys that were watching the movie. Her reaction to all of the body horror just was perfect. It just made the movie so much better, just because she was like cringing and screaming at the monster. It's like, yes, this is awesome.
I had like a older couple sitting next to me, and I swear, like every time they were doing like the dance scenes, like the husband would whisper something to the wife, and the wife would be like, "Oh, John."
I know. I really wish I didn't see this movie alone. Like, I really wish that I went with someone, because it would have been more fun to be like, oh my God. Because it was like all of the gore and stuff. Like, I mean, Men wasn't good, but it reminded me of Men because like the birth scenes and stuff. And like when me and my friend saw that, we were like, oh, what? Like, what is happening? But honestly, like, the movie's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. It's pretty disgusting. It's pretty anxiety inducing. It's just like, the central plot is the central plot, and there's not really any development to any of the characters or anything. It's just like, yeah, this is what's happening. So you're going to see what happens in accordance to that.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to think about after I watched it, was like, okay, what would this movie be if they did try to have more character development or have more like explanation of what the characters are feeling.
Substance?
And it would be just kind of a less interesting movie. Like, it doesn't need it. Like just the editing style and like the the frenetic energy of it,
The dancing.
Just the dancing, the butts, the tits.
Oh, I should reveal my little 80s workout outfit. Hold on. Look, everyone. Here it is.
And speaking of butt and tits,
I can't even get up. It's still in my chair. Jesus.
so yeah, I don't know. Like I think like for what it is, it's perfect. Like I think she was successful in like making a really unique movie. I'm on the side of like appreciating that it doesn't get too preachy. It's just like lets you see the world of this character as she's going through this.
And the morals are in there enough, I think.
Yeah, the one criticism that I thought was interesting, there was some women in the back of the theater that was talking about the movie after the fact, which was like one of the less real parts of it that the movie really depends on is that Lizzie has zero life or friends or like any kind of social contact in her life to where she can retreat that much into herself. Like,
Yeah.
that's a little unbelievable, but for this story, it's like, it's the contrast between being a vivacious young woman that's, able to exploit her beauty within the industry of the male gaze versus a woman that's at the end of her, expiry date in Hollywood. And it's just making that point. But yeah, I think like, not trying to be too preachy or not trying to like underline the message. I think it makes it so there's several ways you can take it. I think it's interesting analyzing it just from the process of aging and the effects of your choices when you're young on your old body. That's something that I'm experiencing right now.
What bad decisions caused your body to change, Bryce?
Oh, all the H that I did as a kid.
All the galaxy gas.
Yeah. I transitioned and then detransitioned like 5 times, and it's really done a number. Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Jesus Christ.
Thanks,
You'll
Bryce.
figure it out. You'll find out. Just give yourself 20 years and you'll be like, oh, I didn't realize I would get this old. Like, maybe I shouldn't have smoked, or maybe
Don't say that.
I should have worked out more, Maybe
No
I
way.
should have eaten the
I'm
right
gonna be
thing.
hot forever.
I'm gonna start doing the workouts in this movie, which is twerking and gyrating my pussy. So I'm gonna start doing that.
That's a drop.
Yeah, this movie, the exercise sequences with Margaret Qualley were more looked like the music video for Satisfaction. If you've ever seen that.
I said this before we recorded. I forgot to say it. I wanted to goon in the theater. I wanted to goon.
Mm-hmm.
I was jorking it. I was jorking my
you
peanuts.
were jorking. And by it, I mean my peanuts. I have one last question about this movie. The New Year's Eve celebration, the broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
I've never watched a New Year's Eve broadcast.
What?
But are there commonly just topless women?
No. That's a good point, because
And there were children
There
in the
were children
audience.
in the audience. No, you cannot be naked on fucking national television. You've never watched like what was his name? He died.
New Year's Rockin' Eve
Yeah.
with Dick Clark.
Dick Clark. You never watched that?
No, I was always at the steak New Year's dance, dude.
I don't know what that is, but congrats.
Bryce knows what that is. If you know, you
I
know.
do.
Yeah. Okay. Well, final recommendations. I think
I think see it in the theater.
yes.
Right away. Like go
Yeah, go see it.
Go see it.
Go see it.
This week.
Yep, I think you should. And if you listen to this and you didn't see it, well, we just spoiled all of it for you. Don't. That's stupid. You should have seen it
I've always
first.
wondered why we do final recommendations after we spoil the movie. Shouldn't we do recommendations before we spoil the movie?
Maybe that will be the changer for us being famous or not. That's honestly a really good idea.
That's what's been holding us back.
No, it's a good idea. I think maybe we should.
Well, it's final recommendations because it's the final thing we have to say about the movie.
I guess we're kind of recommending it as we give our review, so...
That's true. All right. Do you guys want to get into my game?
Sure.
Yes, please.
All right. So I'm calling it What in the French Hell? And so I have 7 movie descriptions. And I was going to put them on the sheet that we use, but I didn't want you guys to Google them because they're word for word the Google synopsis for them. So I'm going to give you the Google synopsis. You're going to guess which French horror movie it is. And so there are 7 of them. So, all right. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I guess you guys could just say your name or something.
These
Okay,
are
I'll
French
yell out
horror
Jork.
movies? Is that the...
Yes, they're all French horror movies.
Okay.
But
Les Mis.
I mean the names are in English. But okay.
Fresh.
Number 1. Number 1. A woman with a titanium plate fitted in her head and murderous intent on her.
Bryce.
I don't know who was first.
I was so first.
I said before Max said anything. I didn't know what I was supposed to say.
I'm gonna give
but
it.
I would have said it first.
I just said. Okay, I'm gonna say Max. I'm sorry, Bryce.
This is Titan.
It is. Good job. Yeah, I knew a woman with a titanium plate. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, that one's a little easy.
Okay. Number 2. A woman is enjoying a romantic getaway with her wealthy boyfriend until his 2 sleazy friends arrive for an unannounced hunting trip. As tension mounts in the house, the situation abruptly and viciously intensifies, culminating in a shocking act that leaves the woman...
Bryce?
Yep.
Is it high tension?
No.
Fuck.
As tension mounts in the house, the situation abruptly and viciously intensifies, culminating in a shocking act that leaves the woman brutalized and left for dead. Unfortunately for her assailant, she survives and soon begins a relentless quest for bloody revenge.
Max,
Yep.
I Spit on Your Grave.
No. That's not
okay.
French.
I can
I
see
know
the
it's not
movie
French,
poster.
but
I don't
I
know
feel
the
like
I
that's
don't
what-
know the title of it.
I feel like that's the story of I Spit on Your Grave, but...
Bryce, you can't Google stuff. What are you doing?
Shut up. I was Googling high tension. Okay, that is the movie that I thought it was.
I'm trying to think of what other movies I even know that are French. Like,
I don't think you guys have seen this.
I don't know.
I
You
give
don't
up.
know? Okay, well,
I've only seen like 3 or 4 French films. So
Me too.
oh, okay. Well, I've seen a lot. I've seen all of these except for one. This is Revenge, Coralie Fargeat's first movie.
Oh, okay.
This
We
is
should have
Revenge.
known.
Okay, number 3. 2 young women who were both victims of abuse as children embark on a bloody quest for revenge. Only
Max.
Yep.
This is... starts with an M.
You always try to make us watch it.
I know. What is it called?
What? Max, you don't remember?
I'm forgetting. It's Martyrs. It's
Yes.
Martyrs.
Good job.
I
All
got
right.
2 points.
2 points. I have
Bryce
1.
has 0.
Bryce has 0. Number 4. A vegetarian woman encounters...
Max. I tried to say Bryce. Why did I try to say Bryce?
I heard Bryce first.
This is fresh.
No.
Whoa.
That's not.
What's it called?
That's not the name of the movie. There's another movie called Fresh. That's an American movie with Sebastian Stan. But
Max. It's Raw.
Raw, fuck. God damn it.
Max caught it.
That's 3, baby.
Holy
I actually
shit.
thought it was called Fresh too until I went back into my memory hole.
Good job.
man.
Good job,
All
Max.
right.
You're really killing it. All right. There's 3 more. So Bryce could tie. All right.
I'm not going to.
A beautiful.
Raw was my one chance.
I know. Okay. A beautiful young French woman travels out of the country to visit her family and brings along her friend. Soon after they get settled in a secluded home, the first woman's parents are brutally attacked by a psychotic truck driver who proceeds
Max.
to... Yep.
This is High Tension.
Yep. Bryce, I thought you were going to get that.
I was going to do it again, and I was like, I don't know.
We haven't done high tension. I would like to do that.
We haven't done any of these.
I don't
We've
really
never done
care for
Raw.
high tension.
You didn't do Raw
No.
or you did Titan.
You
though.
did
Titan.
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 We haven't done Martyrs. We haven't done Solo.
I don't want to do Martyr.
I'm ready to do Martyrs at any time, dude.
We
That
should-
movie's depressing.
Oh my god, it makes me so upset. More upset than the substance. Okay, 2 more. A doctor is riddled with guilt after an accident that he causes disfigures the face of his daughter, who outsiders believe is dead.
Bryce.
Yep.
Um,
You know this.
it's something like Without a Face or something like
Yes,
that.
it is. What's the first word?
Oh, Eyes Without a Face.
Eyes Without a Face. It's Eyes Without a Face.
I don't know who to give that to.
I got it.
Oh, well, I mean, Bryce.
Come on, give me 1 point at least. Jesus Christ.
Bryce gets a point.
save my embarrassment at least.
Okay, so this is the only one I haven't seen. This is the last one. A woman must protect her unborn child from the scissor-wielding maniac tormenting her after the death of her husband.
Bryce.
Yeah.
Edward Scissorhands.
I have no idea what this one is.
I've heard this is like it's part of the French extremist like horror movement, and I've heard this one is like the worst. It's worse than Martyrs. I've never seen it though.
I've never even what? Are you sure it's not Les Mis?
Yes.
Horror.
Those are all
Scissor
the French
horror?
movies I know.
Oh, Bryce.
Yeah, Bryce. After googling
Hunchback
it.
of Notre Dame.
No. It's called Inside. And I'm pretty sure that I heard that that movie is like it's like POV of like the unborn child. So I don't know, like it sounds insane. But the French extremists like High Tension isn't particularly like, I wouldn't say it's scary, but it makes you anxious. Like that is a movie.
I did not care for High Tension.
It's not very cohesive, but I liked the way it was shot. All right, well, that was What in the French Hell. You guys need to watch more French movies.
I guess.
I've seen like half of those, I feel like.
I've liked the ones that I've seen. Like, I think Raw is like one of my favorite movies.
Raw
that
is
movie's awesome.
so good.
It is good.
All right, well, that was our episode on The Substance. Of course, thank you to everyone listening. I don't know if we have any new patrons, ? Do we?
We lost a few.
We did lose a few. I'm sorry to see you guys go. I hope you come back soon. I think
No, you're not welcome here anymore.
It's hard out there.
Yeah, we don't
know.
have any new ones, but if you guys, if you can, come back when you can. And of course, patreon.com.
Or join as a free member so
/horrormovies.
that you can just at least show us that you care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, our voicemail line is 682-253-4468. Thank you, everyone. We love you. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Good day, sir.
Mwah.
Good day, sir. You lose. You get nothing.
Is that a raincoat? Yes, it is.
I just took a stroll through the scraggly
Dance, Bryce.
He had no face.
horror. Wow, that didn't sound good.
Can I see one titty? Oh, girl, just give me one titty. I just want to see one of your titties, girl.